Christine Acosta, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here today. Your organization is Pedal Power Promoters and
That's
also Walk Bike Tampa.
Yes, I wear those two hats in our community, and during our discussion, I hope to kind of differentiate where appropriate if I'm speaking on behalf of the nonprofit advocacy organization Walk Bike Tampa or the social enterprise Pedal Power Promoters.
Two different things, but sounds very complementary to one another.
They do. They do complement each other, focused on safety and access, transportation, really.
Look at that little Jack Russell you got in the basket there. I grew up with two Jack Russells. They're a handful.
Yeah.
They're certainly a handful.
Yeah.
So with these two organizations, kind of tell me what they are and what they aim to do. And also, I guess to start off, how you got into this world and why you started these organizations.
Sure. Well, the work that I'm doing right now in our community, I've been doing it for about 11 years, and it is what AARP would call an encore career. So I had a big shift in my professional life during the Great Recession. You guys are so young, you would remember that very differently than than a person my age. But
well, I was in high school, so I remember it.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily affected by it, right? I'm just trying to like wake up and go to school.
Yeah.
David, you were maybe kindergarten.
Ouch. Well, it was a crazy time, the Great Recession. And at that time, kind of a perfect storm happening for me in my life because I had left my professional life. I was in finance and hospitality with American Express and a global travel company. So I had left that, then the Great Recession happened, and I did not want to add another car to my family budget. My sons were both in high school and ready to start, driving. So I just started sharing our car, and that put me back on a bike. And so I was experiencing my father's, experiencing our built environment through my father's lens. And like a lot of people, like you, like I, we will lose our driving privileges. He was in a wheelchair at the end of his life. And the built environment was just so awful.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
I just knew it was horrible. I've had the great pleasure and privilege, really, of traveling all over the world, and biking has always been my number one choice for transportation. I don't identify as a bicyclist,
Sure.
per se. That conjures up, the sport rider, and that's not who I am. I'm just a person trying to go from point A to point B, using a mode that appeals to me most.
Mm-hmm.
So I was caring for Dad and opting not to add a car to our family budget, and that's kind of what started me off here. I finished a degree at the University of Tampa late in life, right after Dad passed, and then I was looking to do something more legacy-based for my community, and I had really enjoyed other places where you can just go to the grocery store
Right.
on your bike. You could, satisfy some of your life's daily needs without a car.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found it to be very difficult here. And there were other people, so I was trying to figure out what to do, what trajectory to do my next professional move. And I conducted over 40 informational interviews.
Wow.
With, just to kind of explore our community and where might I fit in and be effective and do some good things. And that's when I met Karen Kress at the Tampa Downtown Partnership. I know you have spoken to her.
Where's my laser pointer? Where's it at? She got the best gift ever for this show, which was a laser pointer, which we so desperately needed. Shout out Karen Kress. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Karen had in mind to start some programming in her role as transportation and urban planner for the Downtown Partnership, and with an economic development lens, which is what the entire partnership is tasked with, to start a bicycle-friendly business program. And this is engaging, public-private enterprises.
What year is this?
Oh, this would have been 2016.
Wow, it didn't exist before that.
No.
Wow, okay.
No, she learned about it through some of her own circles, and is very passionate about all kinds of transportation.
Yeah.
And so she asked me if I'd like to help her create that programming. And so my skill set was very amenable: business outreach, education, meeting in boardrooms with high-powered people to talk about, products and services. Well, now we could talk about transportation, affordable, healthy, accessible, access to jobs, things like that. And we found the business community arms wide open.
Right.
They loved it. The legacy brands in Tampa were in immediately: Cigar City Brewing, Coppertail, Columbia Restaurants. These, I know I won't say enough of them: Tampa General Hospital, Tampa International Airport,
The arena too, right?
the arena.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of, the private sector were like, yeah, we need that.
Kind of duh though, right? I mean,
Yes.
2016 to just then be starting to talk about bike infrastructure and getting people to these businesses and these locations outside of a vehicle. I feel like when you came to them, it was like, of course, right? Yes.
Yes, they got it right away because they could see that the workforce transportation in Tampa is sorely lacking. But we also found, Karen and I together as we were advancing, that many, many of the employers said to us, we cannot in good conscience recommend people bike in our city. It's just too dangerous.
Wow.
We did not have good infrastructure. And so that's when I and some others established Walk Bike Tampa. So we formed the nonprofit then. We realized a two-prong approach was necessary. We have to address the safety concerns, and before the businesses could wholeheartedly say, we think biking is a reasonable option, not for everybody, not every day, not every trip, not from every neighborhood, but in some places we're starting to make a difference. Remember, this was before the Riverwalk, the present-day Riverwalk, was even connected,
Yeah.
at Kennedy Boulevard. So these were early days.
This is back when like the only big bike lane was on Dale Mabry. I mean, it's like, I think people that are native to the area think of biking, unfortunately, that way. Now,
They
things
did.
have changed dramatically in the last decade for the better,
Things
of course.
are coming along.
And
They're coming
especially in
along.
the
We have
last
a long
few
way to
years.
go, but yeah.
But traditionally, people in this community were very fearful of that, and they probably should have
rightly
been, and
so.
still should be, right? When you are a pedestrian or when you're on a bicycle, it's a different level of awareness you need to have about your safety versus being in a vehicle.
Absolutely.
And that still
Especially
rings
when
true
we're
today.
lacking, the safe facilities
Right.
that are now emerging in our community. But back then, so I mentioned my late in life degree from UT, but I started at HCC on Dale Mabry. And so I was biking from the Beach Park area
Whoa.
to, this was before I had, I was just a person, like I said, getting from point A to point B. And I mean, it was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
I began to appreciate exactly where I was most invisible,
Right.
and what to avoid. But it was crazy. It was really difficult. And later, when I decided to start my business and really embark on this part of my journey to advance bicycle friendliness and micromobility, many friends 10 years ago said, "Oh my God, you're going to die. Like this is not survivable."
Yeah.
To do this work and to lead by example. And that tone has really changed now. And I am
Yes.
frequently delighted by what is called stranger validation. Like, someone you just meet at a coffee bar would say, "Oh, I forgot to mention Buddy Brew and our legacy brands. They are all into bicycle friendliness." But we had, you just meet someone and they say, "I just moved here from X town. And when I lived there, I was able to bike everywhere, and I'm starting to see some improvements here." So that's very gratifying.
100%, right? So what was your route from Beach Park? Just so I can put it in my head and those listening, you would probably go either east to Dale Mabry straight up, or
I
would
avoid
you do
Dale
West Shore?
Mabry like the plague. I mean, I would not touch Dale Mabry if I could.
How'd you
avoid
get
it.
up there
So
from Beach Park?
what I did was crossing under 275 is always the challenge, right? Where would you do that? So for me, I used from Beach Park, I could navigate through West Shore Plaza and go north on some sidewalks
Oh my
to
gosh.
Boy Scout. Then I would go east along Boy Scout on the sidewalk, and then I would use the Dale Mabry sidewalk because there just was no alternative.
Now, a couple questions here, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
probably not the first route you took, or maybe it was. It's a
No,
roll of the dice.
it
Which road
is.
connects to that road?
Yeah, when we're looking for routes, we do guided bike rides and we bring practitioners on our rides and stuff like that. And people doing this work, sometimes we call it ratting because you're really like you're
Yes, that's a
scurrying,
great
you're
word
looking
for it.
for opportunities to cut through, you're
Yeah.
looking for chain link fence openings that people don't even see. And so now we have a really keen understanding of where all those openings are. And so we can show others
Just ratting around.
just ratting
I'm going to
around.
start to use that.
Yeah.
David, write that down.
Scouting.
But
Yeah.
also too, did you feel like you must have been the only one or one of the only people that were doing what you're doing. Did you sort of feel like your friends telling you, hey, this is dangerous? Were you like, maybe I should listen?
I was very determined and I wanted the exercise.
Yeah.
And when you are like rolling through, I could weave through some really great neighborhoods in Tampa.
Right.
And that part was peaceful and delightful and really emotionally, there was a lot of emotional wellness for all the things I was dealing with in my life at that time. And so I loved it. And I was very, very careful. And I found those openings in those places,
Right.
and
Ratting
I've
around.
also discovered a lot of opportunities. And I was not alone. I was not alone by any stretch of the imagination. Back then, there were fewer people, and we're all using these crappy, dangerous facilities, and we just give that nod across the way. I see you. Hang in there. And a lot of this was workforce transportation. There's a lot of people who travel on bicycles because they don't have many other choices in our
Yeah.
community. And I really have a heart for them and look to elevate. That's a big part of the work we do, both at Walk Bike Tampa and at Pedal Power Promoters, is to elevate the dignity of the people who are already doing it.
Right. And there's so many people that go unrecognized. Who was on the show, David? Was it Michael at the West Shore Alliance talking about how there was a significant percentage of airport workers that had been biking to
Yes.
Tampa International.
Yes.
And when they realized that, they started to put infrastructure in place. But before they really recognized that, they had a ton of people biking to work. And you have to imagine
do.
how many businesses or how many large corporations that don't have the capacity necessarily to pay attention. How is every single worker getting here?
Exactly.
I think that conversation has shifted and more of these businesses are taking note. How are my people getting here? Right.
Well, they need to
Yeah.
because housing is becoming less and less affordable, and people have to now go further out from our established services footprint. And, it's hard.
Do you think that's the biggest reason why there is a craving for a large percentage of Tampanians, but also Americans in general, to get out of the car and find alternative ways? Do you think affordability is the big component? Why do you think there's been a shift in the last decade or so?
I think there's a lot of different reasons. It's really kind of a complex puzzle of what people want and need in their lives. Affordability is huge. According to AAA, it costs $1,000 a month to own and operate a vehicle. So,
I believe it.
I don't shame anybody who's driving. Of course not. I drive myself. But if a household can consider one fewer car, just one less car in their household budget, now they can think about $1,000 or even $800 that can be attributable to housing. now they can live closer in. They can live where they are close enough to walk to the public library. The children can walk to friends' homes. They don't have to shop at big box stores and get 2 weeks of supplies all at once. They can walk to the grocery store. They can have a higher quality of life because now they can reallocate that part of their budget to housing and live closer in to the urban neighborhoods if they choose to.
If they choose to.
Some people still love, the McMansion and big suburbia. So they,
you got a wife and 4 kids, and you need an affordable large house, and you go out to the county, you need a car. I mean, some people require that sort of lifestyle.
That's true. But when those 4 children each hit age 16, do they each need a new car? That was the tipping point for me.
Right.
In my family, and I had observed that all over the world, and family members that live overseas in Europe, it is an American presumption that you're 16 now and here's your car.
Sort of a rite of passage. It's almost an American tradition.
Yeah.
It's like a cultural thing.
It is, but I feel it and see it shifting, and a lot of young people, they're putting off getting their driver's licenses. They don't even want to drive.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, the average age of getting a driver's license has been changing for years.
I think that mentality will shift to weddings too, because weddings are so expensive now.
Oh, yeah.
I see people that are a little bit younger than me going, we don't want to spend the money on
That's
this.
right.
We're going to get eloped and then throw a big party for our friends and family.
Yeah.
Right? But
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think affordability in America is always the driving factor, whether we like it or not. The money is in this country, just the way it's set up and everything. That's sort of what drives everything forward.
Right.
And when the money doesn't make sense and you can't afford a place to live around where you work, and a car is unbelievably expensive to own and maintain, and your girlfriend has one, you have one, and this, it starts to all add up.
Yeah.
Culture changes, incentives change.
Right.
And I think that's what's sort of happening.
Yeah.
If it's $200,000 to buy a little house in any given area in the city, well, no big deal. Of course, I'll just buy a house and have a car.
Right.
Well, now the population of the city is 400,000.
Yeah.
Right. Hillsborough County has 1.5 million people. Right. Our region has almost 4 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's very expensive to live in a good location now.
It
Whereas
is.
it was affordable 20 years ago, even 10 years ago.
That's right.
So people are having to sort of shift the way they live, and recognizing that as a region and sort of planning for that future is such a
Yeah.
smart thing to do. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you're sort of ahead of the curve here on some of this infrastructure stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to, just make people aware. There's, you're familiar with the Tampa Bay Partnership,
Mm-hmm.
and they do a regional competitiveness study every year, and they partner with the United Way, and the United Way has coined a term, ALICE. So ALICE stands for asset limited, income constrained, employed. So these are the working poor, or not quite poor, but living kind of paycheck to paycheck. And one incident or illness in these households can spell out disaster. And the ALICE population in the Tampa Bay metro area, the large multi-county area, is growing. And so what can we do to get people into a state where they are more comfortable financially and stable, and can guard against some of these emergencies that can be catastrophic?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can think about housing and transportation as inextricably linked, because they are the 2 largest pieces of the household pie, budget pie.
Right.
And they're higher. That combined piece of pie in our area is higher than national averages by a significant percentage.
I can't imagine anything more significant. I mean, housing and transportation.
Yeah.
What else is left after those 2 things? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're so significant, but they're so significant to the health of the region.
Absolutely.
Like, what makes a place to live good? What makes a place to live fine? Well, it's, I have a good job and I can live where I need to live affordably, and I can get where I need to go.
That's right.
If affordable housing is affordable housing could exist 20 miles east, in the center of the state, but you're around nothing.
Right.
Is the house affordable? Yes. But what do I have to spend on a car to get my groceries? How far am I driving? Where do I work?
Bingo.
So
Yes.
I think
What's the quality of my life
you
if I'm
have
having
to
that
look at
stress
both
of
of
the
those
commute?
things.
You have to look at it bundled together. I think that more and more people are starting to do that and to fully appreciate that they might not necessarily have to own a car.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned, if you take that car expense and you move it over to housing, you can reserve some of it for, your other transportation needs. You can afford an Uber pretty much anytime you would need it on the days that you don't have access to the family car, or the weather is such, or there's an emergency. You just have to start thinking more with greater flexibility. You have to start thinking, can I live near the free bus line Route 1 on Hart?
Mm-hmm.
Can I live close enough to ride my bike or my scooter, take it with me? Or is there good parking there where I can, come that first mile, but get on that bus? The headways are 15 minutes now.
Mm-hmm.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
So this is called trip chaining, and we do it when we travel to other cities, but it just doesn't occur to us that it can happen in Tampa.
Yeah, I think what you're really talking about is looking at the city and the region in a more micro way, where it's actually street level, surface level, infrastructure level, sidewalk level, bike lane level. Like,
Yep.
what's the actual experience of getting from A to B, living and working and enjoying a place to live, right?
Exactly.
Versus, oh, Amazon's putting a headquarters here. It's 10,000 new jobs. Well, what does that mean really? Like, what's the real visceral experience you have? What's the viability of actually living in this city if something like that were to come here? Like, people talk all the time about these big corporate moves, but to me, that's great, sure, but the foundation, right? Can someone get a job and live in the urban area in St. Pete and Clearwater and Tampa or anywhere else and have a good and fine life? Like, is there job availability for good prices? Is there housing available? How do people get around? Thinking about it like that is so much more effective at moving a city forward than
Yeah.
large metrics,
I agree, but I will also tell you that it's well known that corporations, when considering relocations, they do look at transportation and workforce transportation,
They look at this
housing
sort of
stock.
stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely, and they want their employee population to want to come here, or they will suffer the consequences of losing a lot of talent,
Yeah.
institutional knowledge. So it matters to them.
When you travel to Europe or frankly just anywhere else outside of America, they seem to have this sort of thing we're talking about dialed in, right? They will build a tunnel for bicycles. They will build infrastructure to support a rail line from small village to small village. I mean, the investment places around the entire globe put from China to South America to Europe to Africa.
Yeah.
What's this, David?
Oh, I'm glad you put that picture up, because this is, I have biked in over 30 cities in 10 countries, and this is an image I snapped in a smallish French city called Nantes, Nantes. And what you see here is the conversion of a garage entrance and exit so that it is for bicycles only.
Wow, a
So,
conversion.
yeah. So, just many garages have more than one point of entry. And so they made it such that people who were going to store their bikes in the urban garage there did not have to commingle with vehicles, with cars coming and going in the same space. And so that was just delightful. And I don't know if the other image, it was, I was hoping to capture, the bollards. So the bollards are there to prevent, so bikes can go in and out, electric scooters, one wheels, all these other urban mobility devices can go in and out, but cars cannot. And there's so much opportunity in our built environment to do this kind of thing. It's cheap, it's adds safety, it elevates the experience that people on bikes are going to have. This is not for your, this is not aimed at high-speed athletes in the Tour de France. set. This is for people just coming into the city to live their lives and enjoy some sightseeing or education, whatever they're doing as local residents, and in my case, touring, visiting.
Can you go back one photo, David, to where you can see the lanes? It's interesting to me that they have actually protected the pedestrians from the bicyclists.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why make such a dedication to it?
Well, walking and biking are two very different modes, very different speeds. And so we want to ensure that there isn't conflict whenever we can. This is why, it's really important in our urban environments that it's very safe and comfortable for people to bike or use wheels in the street. We do not want people biking and scooting on sidewalks.
Right.
Sidewalks are for commerce, for children, for people walking.
Baby stroller.
That's right.
Yep.
Dog walking. So, that's what we want to try to accomplish. We don't quite have enough of our network established in Tampa that people are comfortable on streets. Like,
I'm barely comfortable on Bayshore. I'm dodging rollerbladers,
Yeah.
people with strollers, people on bikes.
Yeah.
That should be that sidewalk on Bayshore should be twice the size it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you do something where you have a dedicated bicycle track, which has some sort of some block where the pedestrians and the people with strollers and the rollerbladers are.
That's right.
You've noticed on Bayshore, there's in the grass, like cuts. People are dodging each other in the grass.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend some money on infrastructure, to me, you do it on Bayshore, where thousands of people every day are using it.
I could not agree more.
know?
In fact, there's a petition. A petition was circulated by Walk Bike Tampa several years ago. We got endorsement from the what you're calling sidewalk on Bayshore Boulevard is actually a trail. And so trails are governed and supported in Florida by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
I love it.
Office of Greenways and
This
Trails.
is what we do in America. We have, that's not a sidewalk, that's a trail. And because it's a trail, there has to be this many inches of this blah, blah, blah qualification. It's like a mummy, a mummy with
Yeah.
all the wraps. That's
So
what
many
we do.
layers.
We red tape and layer everything in this
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
We're talking about a sidewalk
Right.
on a beautiful boulevard with a great view, which is used by thousands of people.
Yeah.
Trail, sidewalk, well, because it's a trail, it's qualified. So I cut you off, but what does trail mean? It adds qualifications.
It does.
adds complications.
Well,
it
first
sounds
of all,
like.
it's included in the state and regional network maps
Okay.
as a trail, and therefore is considered a piece of our transportation infrastructure.
Okay.
The challenge with Bayshore is that people are not comfortable in that painted bike lane, so you do have overcrowding on the trail. And what you can see in a couple of places when you describe like the worn out grass, that's what urbanists would call desire paths. So humans want to go, more as directly as possible. If you find the bridge to Davis Islands, I think you're a little too far south here. Go to the bridge there. You'll see the desire paths cut through where there's right angles just to the upper right in your image.
Yep.
So, you'll see like there's just a lot of worn grass. That is evidence.
Laser pointer, did we find it?
I didn't find it. But you'll see there that, there's just a huge desire for people to use Bayshore, but not to have to be so close to moving vehicles. Bayshore's come a long way. I don't want to give too much credit on it, frankly, because what we really want to see on Bayshore, so this petition, like I mentioned, is a petition that we would really greatly renovate Bayshore Boulevard to have more space for people that are not in cars, more shade, and more trailheads. You have a massive multi-mile trail here, but it doesn't have real trailheads like a trail being built today would.
Yeah. It also doesn't have any convenience items that would be very conducive for walking around in the Florida heat.
That's
because
right.
at the end of the day, if this really is a trail, they have a couple water fountains, but wouldn't it be cool to have just 3, let's say,
Yeah.
kiosks with local businesses that could partner with the city
Yeah.
to provide popsicles, coffee, and water? Nothing crazy.
Sure.
Little snack, someone's blood sugar's low, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's what would be necessary, frankly, in all the parks. I think all the parks should have some sort of component like that, but Bayshore
I would agree
especially.
with you.
Another thing too is the sidewalk that goes over the bridge that goes off to Davis Islands right here in the picture.
Yeah.
Many people have died right there over
It's
the
awful.
years.
Yeah.
And so I hope that West River, the West River Walk,
Yeah.
right? Which is super exciting. Like
Very
a
exciting.
lot of cool stuff coming there.
Yeah.
I hope they do a little cutout under the bridge to eliminate that driver pedestrian conflict we have right here. This episode is brought to you by the official remodeler of the TBD podcast, Kohler House Remodeling Company. Built on the belief that every homeowner deserves a premium experience, Kohler House is redefining high-end home remodeling with their commitment to integrity, craftsmanship, and quality communication. Their work speaks for itself, from condos in the towers of Channelside to 100-year-old homes in South Tampa, creating spaces that are both stunning and functional. What sets Kohler House Remodeling Company apart is their dedication to not only transforming homes into beautiful spaces, but to elevating the standard of residential general contracting. From concept to completion, every detail is handled with care, ensuring a process that's as smooth as the results are impressive. To learn more, check out our partner's website at kohlerhouse.net, KOHLERHAUS.net. This episode is sponsored by Chansey Architecture and Interior Design. Rooted in the heart of Ybor City for over 35 years, Walt Chansey and his team are trailblazers in their field. Beyond their work across the United States and the Bahamas, Chansey has shaped some of the most iconic residential and commercial spaces that serve as gateways to Cigar City, including Casa Marti and Casa Gomez. What sets Chansey Design apart is their ability to preserve the soul and character of historic buildings while seamlessly integrating modern design and functionality. They blend tradition with innovation, creating spaces that honor the past while meeting today's needs. Check out their work at www.chanseydesign.com.
Yeah, it's even worse. This is the on-ramp. So if you just scan a little bit there, thank you. So when you see the trail crossing on the lower left corner, so you're on the trail right on the water, and then there's a turn that would take you across that roadway. So people
Right here in the
entering,
center.
yes. So you have good. So we have here we have the exit ramp. This is the one that is the most dangerous because you see how it's a sweeping right, and so it's natural for a person, a driver. Again, not shaming anybody, but what happens is naturally when we are making a right turn in our car, we only look to the left. I mean, that's just our muscle memory. And remember, the traffic on Bayshore is supposed to be moving at 30, 35. It's when I pace it in my car, it's still up around 40, 45, the natural design speed, it's called. I don't know if anyone's mentioned that to you, but we have our posted speeds and then we have the actual design speed.
Right.
And we have wide lanes still, so that really induces speed, high speeds. And so anyway, this is what happened. So Walk Bike Tampa has proposed solutions there at that, and partnering with our city, we made some progress, but then there was a lot of turnover in the transportation mobility department in the city. Mm-hmm. And so we lost our momentum there. But we had.
Why would you lose momentum if there's turnover in the city? Wouldn't the people that leave transfer whatever project they've been working on to the new people?
Well, it takes like any new job. I'm happy to tell you that there's a lot of great talent coming on board now to refill those positions, but people need time to understand how their new position works, let alone to assume projects that have been started years before they got there.
That's too bad.
It's kind of a bummer, but I have hope that we're going to get back to doing great things, really soon. But this is an example where we did some non-motorized counts on that bridge coming from Davis Islands, like the hospital. This bridge on the furthest north that you can see, even though it's an exit ramp to Bayshore Boulevard for motorists, it's a two-way sidewalk.
Yeah. I've used it
people.
myself, and I see healthcare workers and other people use it all the time.
I tell you what, it had as much non-motorized use, meaning people not in cars, as Riverwalk in a few spots.
Whoa.
No kidding. With about a third of the space if you take into account the utility poles. So it's a tremendous amount of foot traffic and people on bikes. Now, the sport cyclists will use the roadway, but I personally am not comfortable in the on-ramp that we looked at. I've had a few harrowing experiences there, so I don't use that.
We all have our stories.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a question about demand and these. Do you call it a traffic count when you're talking about bikes and pedestrians? Like you would cars, right, for a given street?
Yeah.
So the traffic count of these bike and pedestrian infrastructure, is there a particular reason why that green spine is where it is? Because to give people perspective, right, we've talked about Bayshore.
Yeah.
We all drive on Bayshore. Hundreds, you can go there any given time. There's a ton of people on it. But then if you go to the green spine, I've driven by a few times and there might only be one or two people on it.
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't it make more sense to spend the money for these projects where all the people are using them? Like Bayshore, we've talked about a couple different issues and pinch points, right? People on bikes dodging people, right?
Yeah.
Who are walking, etc. Why put money towards a place like the green spine versus Bayshore?
Well,
And that might be a political deep question, but at from like a traffic count, my question is.
yeah. So we have counted dozens, and the county and the transportation planning organization, they all have non-motorized counting initiatives all the time, everywhere. There's a lot going on. The city counts. The green spine you reference has. Our city did invest in counting there and has the first eco counter, which is a real-time display. It's on the corner of Cass and Boulevard, right by
where
UT.
the railroad tracks are, right?
Yes. And I'll send you the link later.
West, David.
You can, keep going.
Right there.
You see the ballpark? Yeah, right where your cursor is.
Northwest of the ball field.
Yeah. You can see the shadow of it. Right there across the sidewalk.
What quadrant? North, southwest, right?
Southwest. Yeah. So you see the shadow there. I think that's the counter. No.
Yeah. Put the little man down right there, David. See if it's updated on here.
If it's updated.
And so this counts people that walk or bike by.
Keep turning. Oh, it's not in the image. It's right there at that corner where the person in the red shirt. It's right around there. But we can get you the link so that you can just check.
Right.
So that is reflecting thousands of users.
So it actually counts people that walk and bike on this little
Yeah.
path right here.
So Garrett,
Which is really beautiful, by the way.
It is.
The way they've done the brick is sort of in between, nice wide lane. We talked earlier about feeling comfortable and safe.
Yeah.
Super. This right here is exactly what I want to see if I'm going to take a bike. You know, if you're protected, you're safe. It's one lane. I know where I'm going. I've got my own traffic signal. It really is I would say, perfectly designed bike lane infrastructure.
I would say it is very well designed. And I just say that because the brick is a beautiful treatment, but it requires a lot of maintenance. And so it sometimes...
Why does it require maintenance?
Because there's a lot of weeds growing through it, so aesthetically. But I also wish to see more shade.
But let me ask you a question right there, though. There's probably a million questions I'm going to have popping up, and I'll try to keep it straight. But when you budget, as a local government, and this is just me asking, I have no idea.
Yeah.
When you budget for a project like this, how do weeds get to a point where they're growing 3 feet up out of the ground. Wouldn't some sort of maintenance plan be in a budget for something like this? How do you not account for that?
Well, maintenance is always a challenge. Whenever there's something built, we can build great stuff. But if we don't bake in and plan for the maintenance,
Right.
as you mentioned a minute ago, this is multiple layers and various municipalities that come together in a lot of different projects. Sometimes the Florida Department of Transportation at state level will build something, but they have to hand it off to the local, maybe Parks and Recreation.
Who then maintains it?
Who is then responsible. So all that stuff does need to get set up at the outset. And I don't think that, I don't know. I can't speak to why.
And maybe the bricks were a beautiful cosmetic idea, brick Tampa, but then now we realize, wait, it actually adds more of a maintenance component we didn't plan for. Like there could be something like that.
And maybe it doesn't bother others as much as it bothers me, but like, aesthetically, I do want it to be beautiful.
Well, when you say it's not perfect, one of the things you mentioned is maintenance, but what else about this, now that it's built, would you improve upon on the next project?
I will tell you, if you want to scan on the green spine and take us to Nebraska and Cass.
Let's pull up the green spine and actually talk about it, because it's a super exciting project for this podcast.
It is a game changer.
It completely connects the entire urban core. It's going all the way up north of I-4 in Ybor, through downtown, Channel Side, and then over the river across UT. I believe it ends at Howard Avenue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will go eventually to Howard Avenue. Personally, I don't even think it needs to go to Howard Avenue, because a better crossing is on Gray Street now, which is 2 blocks south of Cass.
Yeah.
So Gray Street is that neighborhood greenway.
Michael
that you've
Marino
heard of.
also talked about that.
That's right. Another game changer. Just a word on neighborhood greenways. Neighborhood greenways represent the best shot that Tampa has at creating a connected network of comfortable walking and biking facilities that'll get us everywhere. We just have to focus on the crossings. But I wanted to show, you asked me, like, what would you do differently? So here's Cass, and you could see that the cycle track is here on the south side of Cass, and then it goes across Nebraska to, that's Nuccio, right?
Correct.
So what happens here is that do you see that right turn lane on Cass where people can go south? They would go then to Union Station or Water Street there.
Yes.
And so what happens is a person that is in the bike lane needs to go straight. And so I would rework that. There's a push button there, to get a walk signal, but you can't reach it from the cycle track. So there's these kind of, like, I'm just giving you one example of where the devil's in the details, and you want to make sure that there's safe passage. So what I do as an urban cyclist is I will leave the cycle track, and then I will enter the car lane. That is a turn lane right there, but it puts me in position to go straight through the intersection and not get what is called the right hook. Person turning.
That's a pretty big gap. I mean, zoom in a little bit, David.
Yeah.
If I'm on Cass Street headed eastbound and I'm sitting right there in that turn lane, right there, that's a large turn in front of the bike lane.
That's right.
Right.
And where are you looking? You're looking at where your threat would emerge. So you're looking left. You're looking up.
I'm looking for cars.
Nebraska for cars, as you must. But you're the person in the bike lane on the green spine is rendered invisible in that scenario. And if you scan just a little bit further to the west, you'll see that fabulous new brewery and business over here. There, what's that one called? You know it.
Late Start Brewing and Mighty Fine Burgers.
That is it. Fabulous.
Who has an unbelievable cappuccino, number one, and number two, the best breakfast taco in Tampa. It's unbelievable.
But it's hard to get to there from the cycle track if you're pinned in by that curb. So access, just because we have a great thoroughfare that is protected doesn't mean there aren't occasions where we need to have opportunities and curb cuts to leave it so we can go across the street.
Well, it goes back to what I said about red tape and sort of that checkbox theory, where it's like, okay, we have a bike lane, check. We have the button for the bike lane, check. but
Yeah.
what's the actual application of it, from a ground level experience?
Yeah.
That needs a little bit more fine tuning, right?
Well,
And you're only going to know that by using it.
exactly. So we don't know these little details. It's just a matter of circling back. We build a lot of great stuff, or we think it's going to be great, and then there needs to be adjustments later.
Is there a program or an avenue where you could actually do that and you could say, hey, one little adjustment we could make that would dramatically improve this is to probably move that signal closer where you could access it from a bike, reach
That's right.
over, or have even better with today's technology, some sort of an automated AI, I don't know, camera thing.
It's part of our smart city technology that is coming
Love
to
it.
detect all types of vehicles. So yeah, we're both Walk Bike Tampa and Pedal Power promoters. So during the build out, Pedal Power Promoters offers a service called a bike audit. And this is where we go and we field test the trail networks while they're emerging and they're still in the planning stages. So we can call on the builders, whatever, whether it's state, county, city, whoever's building this thing. Okay, we need a curb mounted push button so that a person on a bike can just roll up to it and request, safe passage across a busy intersection without having to get off and,
Great idea.
yeah. So through the bike audit process, we try to get ahead of this, these elements that are going to pose a problem later if they get built that way. And then for existing facilities, the mobility department always wants to hear from people. There's not quite an app. Like in St. Pete, they use an app called SeeClickFix, which is a great community feedback with a closed loop. So you put your feedback in, and then it's sourced to the right department. Could be like a pothole or what have you, but then you get a full link, a loop later saying, we fixed it, or it's on our list, or like that. And then the person who put that in can go big on social and say, thank you, city, you took care of this trouble spot.
What's the program called?
SeeClickFix.
And St. Pete has this
St.
program?
Pete has it, and they use it very, very well. And I'm friends with a lot of the people in the St. Pete Bike Club. Even though I'm not an athlete, they have wanted me to ride along with them. And I always tell them, well, my wine and baguette will fall out of my basket if I try to keep up with you. But anyway, they do a great job for us as a riding sport recreation group of being advocates in the community and advancing biking of all types. For transportation or others.
And is this an app or this is on the website for St. Petersburg here? Looks like a
David
website.
just
Maybe
had
they
it
have an
there.
app on a phone.
It's an app. It's definitely most utilized. If you think about it, people walking and biking in a community are the ones that are really going to see everything. You take a picture of it, you drop your geopin.
This is really cool.
It is
now, I do know
great-
Tampa has an online program where you can put in requests for potholes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can do that for, the other requests.
Look at this, though. People can comment, hey, we have a street light out. Hey, sidewalk repair.
Yeah.
We have the ability with today's technology to really build unbelievably incredible cities in this country.
That's right.
I mean, the ability to be dynamic like this, where a particular neighborhood could get together about an issue,
Yeah.
and that day, with pictures, with a video, with an explanation,
Yeah.
put a request to the local government, and for that local government to see it. And I even notice on here, local officials will actually respond.
That's right.
Like, hey, it's on our list. We can't fix it because there's a greater issue. We'll get, here's the that communication
Yeah.
with those neighbors is so important.
It's fantastic. And I know, so SeeClickFix is, I'm guessing the reason it doesn't exist in Tampa yet is because it's expensive, I think. But the feedback to the person who put in the concern and logged a problem in their neighborhood is so wonderful. I know I think they still have it, our bus system, our transit system in Hillsborough does have SeeClickFix, but they don't have the closed loop part where you get like that a resolution happened. So it's one way. You put in a concern or even a complaint. In my case, it was a dangerous situation I was in on my bike with a bus from the Hart Fleet. And so I put in, that this incident, and I did get like, we got your complaint or your concern. Thank you, but nothing later. Like, was there any training? Is there anything that needs to happen for the drivers? Like, was the bus stop itself a bad design for sharing with a bike? Like there just wasn't. It was just kind of like you feel like you're putting your feedback into thin air.
Something for people to think about too is the volume, the sheer volume. If you look on the left, it has the date and the time of these requests.
Yeah.
This local government here, which is St. Petersburg, is this Pinellas County or St. Petersburg, the city? But look at,
city.
Every 5, 10, 20 minutes is a request coming in. Like,
Yeah.
you got to give the people, these city workers and just these local governments kudos.
That's right.
Think about the amount, the pothole, the irrigation issue. Oh, the sidewalk has a crack in it. How many different things are going on at one time?
That's right. And the big challenge is, even if you know as many city staffers as I do, you don't know who to send that to if you have direct contact. And certainly the city elected officials, they would love to be helpful, but if they spend all their time fielding this stuff, they're not governing the way we want them to. So this is a great tool. I hope someday we can have it.
Yeah, 100%. It's such
Tampa.
a great example of how technology can solve our problems.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of rhetoric, and we've talked on the show before about how sort of dangerous technology is because it separates us in so many ways.
Yeah.
And that city we talked about at the beginning of the show, right? 100 years ago, where every family had a little corner store and you're walking everywhere and the streetcar network and all that sort of stuff. It's like, yes, we've lost all that. And I order a couple boxes from Amazon on my phone. I don't know who the hell put it there, right? It just magically, there's a disconnection.
Totally.
The good thing about technology is efficiency and this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And if it's focused on and implemented in the right way, over 5 years, imagine what could happen with fixing some of these issues that people have talked about in the community for decades.
That's right.
Real quick.
Exactly.
It's exciting. So
it's
this is SeeClickFix. Very interesting.
SeeClickFix. And the closed loop part of that is really awesome because whatever goes into the system is then routed to the appropriate department and owner of that space or that curb or that street or that tree, like whoever. And so it's really wonderful.
And I wonder if you could broaden it, including some of the bike and pedestrian infrastructure we've talked about today. Like if someone who walks to work, what's desire path is the term you use. Let's say someone walks to work on a desire path. Yeah. Maybe they could put in a request. Oh, yeah. Hey, every day, me and a few coworkers and other people I notice walk through the dirt to get to our job. It would be really cool if the city could put a concrete path here. Boom, something like that.
Absolutely.
Hey, in my community, we have an issue with speeding and walking across the street to the park, like I bitched about on this show. And it'd be nice to have some speed bumps. Yeah. And actually they built them on McDill to McDill 48. There's speed bumps. Oh. It's funny, like half the stuff, actually all the stuff we've had grievances about on the show have been fixed. I will say, have you noticed recently the city of Tampa cranking it up? The roads are getting repaved.
Yeah, they brought it in-house.
The parks are getting redone.
They brought, they have, a lot of great staffers that are now really empowered to just get out there and make immediate changes and improvements.
Yeah.
And it is wonderful.
The confidence that gives to the business community and people that live here and visit here, and they see, wow, the roads are maintained. The sidewalks don't have trip hazards. They've shaved the sidewalks. Yeah. You notice out front here, they've shaved the sidewalks. It's like
trying to reduce the tripping hazards.
Yes, right? Yes. A dedication to some of those foundational infrastructure items that have been on the just total back burner for decades because it was all about the car, all about the office building and the parking garage. Yeah. Having a finer tune on this surface level infrastructure, these sidewalks and the curbs and the ingress and the egress and all the stuff we've talked about today is so important for livability in a city.
Absolutely.
And it's so cool to see, like literally within the last few years, you can watch these things churn and improve. It builds confidence that,
It really
you know what,
does.
we're in this together. I'm in the right spot. I can do stuff. I can do great things here in this city.
Yeah.
And the government is taking note and doing some of these foundational things.
That's right. And you are in the stroller part of your life.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure you really appreciate smooth sidewalks that are well connected.
We're in the infant stage. I have a 3-week-old. He'll be
I
3
know.
weeks old tomorrow. So
Congratulations
thank
again.
you.
That's so exciting.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, people need to be inspired. And I think people commuting to work and having to bike through that chain link fence and feel, scared on their way to work or walking through dirt or, there's kids in my community that wait in a ditch for a school bus because there's no sidewalk and there's no underground infrastructure, and all that takes time and money to get fixed up. But when you grow up in a world where you have those safe streets and those safe sidewalks, and you're not fearful of your parents biking to work because it's dangerous, that builds good things in a community.
Well, let's talk about safety a little bit, if you don't mind. And
for sure.
Let's break it down a little bit about,
You brought the receipts here. Facts.
I've just made some notes and things, but, because I have biked in so many different places in the world, you start to really boil down the common denominators. Like, why am I comfortable here in this community and not in this other community? And not every European city is great for biking. Like, that's a misnomer. But the one thing that is universally applied that does create safety and comfort is slow vehicle speeds. And in the United States, and especially here in Hillsborough County, we have an expectation for very high speeds. And I don't mean just posted speed limits, actual speed limits. My business partner at Pedal Power Promoters, before she joined our firm, she was the author of a speed study in Hillsborough County. And we found, I can give you the exact details on this, and we can probably get you the link to the study still, but we have a high injury network. This is where it doesn't matter what mode you're using, walking, biking, driving, we just have a lot of crashes, serious crashes, fatalities on this set of roadways. And so the speed study reflected that were we to build that road again today, the posted speed limit, not even the actual driver experience, the posted speed limits would be 25 miles an hour lower than what we have posted out there.
That's a lot.
On Hillsborough Avenue, Dale Mabry, others throughout the community. So we have become accustomed as people who live here in this community to these really what other people in other parts of the world consider crazy high speeds.
Yeah.
So as a human, our neurology is such that we lose our peripheral vision the faster we go. We start to have more tunnel vision. So whenever you read about a crash or someone being injured or worse, and someone says, well, they came out of nowhere, what that really means is the speed is such that my vision, my human vision, I'm not able to see in the periphery because I'm going too fast.
Greg Slater at Thea talked about how he is trying to get people who drive on the Summit Expressway off these exits into pedestrian areas like downtown, Beta Bay, et cetera, and how that mindset has to shift within the infrastructure.
Yeah.
When you're driving on a highway, you're not looking out for bikes. You're not looking out for people.
All
the last
the
thing you're
friction
thinking.
is removed for you by design, as it should be on a highway. But then you descend the highway into the urban fabric and our neighborhoods. The problem is we kept some of the design, and I'm so glad Greg said that. He's amazing. I call it detoxing speed. Like, what kind of transition in some other places they build in roundabouts, so you like really have to resume the physical act of operating the vehicle. You come out of your sort of mindset of just, I don't want to call it autopilot. I don't want to imply that anybody's doing anything evil, but that's the way the human brain works.
Absolutely.
And so I do see some changes on the expressway. People forget you used to have to stop and drop a coin when getting off, like on Cleveland and other places.
Getting on right here from Platt.
Yeah, and Platt. Yeah. So, there used to be that reconnection to the human operator of the vehicle, like I'm changing zones, I'm changing.
You remember those shirts that they would wear? Those,
Which one?
What do you call them? I guess toll booth operator would be the right. They would have those fun. They'd have like the crazy floral designs.
Yeah,
I don't know. As a
the
kid,
tropical.
I just remember that. Yeah, right there, David. There used to be a toll booth. They used to be everywhere. But you're right. It was a break in the experience.
That's right. So we are looking to Greg and other leaders to help us in our community create, kind of that detox of getting off the highway now. You have to have a completely refreshed attitude and approach to the roadway. But in the roadway designs in the United States, we kept highway design and brought it right through our neighborhoods. I'm talking about wide lanes. So 12-foot lanes were made the standard when the highways were built by Eisenhower, because he liked the Autobahn and he liked the notion, he didn't like, but he feared that we would have to someday move tanks all over our country after he came back from World War II. And that's why the highway lane width is 12 feet. But if you have 12 feet going through a neighborhood, that is like sending cars as rockets right through there. And that's why it's not safe to cross to the park in your neighborhood. I would bet that lane that separates you from where the children want to play and swing, you have wide lanes.
Well, I know for sure Dale Mabry was built the way it's built with concrete and all that to move tanks.
To move tanks,
Like
or possibly have to land aircraft.
Right.
Yeah.
Possibly land aircraft, really?
Yeah, I have heard that.
Wow.
So
different mindset, though. I mean,
different mindset.
I think people have to really give grace to that era. I mean, imagine the world is at war and this entire country is gearing up to defend itself. Of
Right.
course, the infrastructure would be built in that particular way. But
the
here we are,
unintended consequences that people drive
and here we
so
are
fast
so much
because
time
it
later.
feels natural to drive fast.
Yeah.
And, if you look at so many of our intersections that are almost impossible to cross. So we cannot have a comfortable and safe bicycle network until we can cross these great big boulevards that have very high, fast-moving vehicles. And when we put in traffic safety measures, traffic calming it's called, like what you describe on South McDill, that we need the everyday constituents to support that. And a lot of times people complain because it's change and they don't understand it. So that's what needs to happen for us to really get where we need to go with transportation.
I think it's a hierarchy of value. I think there's a lot of people in this community here locally, but also in this country, that value, how do I get from A to B as quickly as possible?
Sure.
And a speed bump inhibits that, and a narrower lane inhibits that, and more space for people and bikes and less space for a car and would sort of inhibit that. But we also have to sort of make a judgment call as a community. Our safety and our infrastructure for our pedestrians and bicycles and young mothers crossing Bayshore, how about that, takes precedent over shaving a few minutes off of a commute. That's just the reality. I think that there's sort of two different worlds here, and we are talking about different people in the particular way they live, right? Like someone who lives in the city has a different need and might be more of an advocate for what we're talking about, and someone that lives out east in the county that commutes to work has a completely different outlook.
Right.
And you'll find people who sort of mix their opinions, and reasonable people are found everywhere.
Right.
But there are people that are voters that live out east in the county that I want to get to work and out of downtown as quickly as possible. And if it means wider lanes and less room for bikes, That's where my vote lies.
I hear you, and I know you're absolutely right. And what I would say is that there's an appropriate speed and roadway design for moving cars fast, but it's not through neighborhoods and it's not in the urban core.
Mm-hmm.
And the time difference is negligible. I think when we talked the last time Bayshore was after that horrific crash, and other crashes that have happened in layers, the speed reduction on Bayshore and restriping of some of the lanes to make it feel more natural to drive more slowly. We had someone from the city staff told me that if we change this speed now, it will take an extra 30 seconds to go the entire distance.
That's
At a
all.
reduced speed. It's so negligible. And so we really need all of our elected officials to understand that. And we need to get ahead of these changes so that they're prepared and they don't get beat down by neighborhoods who are freaking out about a new bike lane instead of on-street parking. We have the opportunity to ensure that people understand it better, and especially people, elected officials and high influencers, so they know how to respond. We had a few years ago a street renovation that is intended to make a street more multimodal, safer for people walking, biking, and driving. When it's safer for walking and biking, it's also safer for motorists. Fewer crashes, less property damage, all that. We had two parallel projects going on, one in St. Pete, one in Tampa. The one in Tampa was Bay to Bay. The one in St. Pete was Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard. So these two things were happening at the exact same time. And in Tampa, we were not successful in getting the degree of change that we wanted to, for kids to cross the street safely to get to Roosevelt and so on. It's been like a slow creep. Certain things have gotten a little bit better, but the actual speed reduction and separate space for people biking did not happen. But in St. Pete, it did happen. And now they've added the protected bollards, and they have a really nice additional piece to their overall network. But what happened was Mayor Kreisman in St. Pete was fielding a lot of fury from the community, like, we don't want this change. And he was very well trained by the transportation staff over there over his many years. And he was able to say, you're going to have to leave your house 3 minutes sooner, because in this case, we are choosing safety over your speed to work. And that, was for many miles of the road. So he just called it like it is. You're going to have to leave 60 seconds sooner. I think he said 30 to 90 seconds, whatever his soundbite was, but I heard him repeat it. And it just sort of quieted people like, okay, well, yeah, we'll choose. And now people could cross the street to Tripp's Diner. There's lots of businesses on MLK. Tax revenue is up on the corridor. It's just a better place to be. And we haven't experienced quite that elevation of quality on Bay to Bay yet. We haven't given up, but we didn't win that time.
South Tampa is so pinched in what it's taken on in terms of development in the last few decades. One of the things south of Gandy is all those apartment buildings. I mean, thousands and thousands, you can't expect to put thousands and thousands of multifamily with no commercial component, forcing you got to think, okay, 1,000 units, how many people live in each unit? It's minimum of one. So if it's 1,000 units, it might be 2,000 or more people in these complexes.
Yeah.
Well, if every single one of those people can't go get a stick of butter without hopping in a car, when you start talking about, Bay to Bay, McDill, we're going to diet down Bayshore, of course people get a little concerned because we live on a peninsula, and people are trying to get from A to B.
Yeah.
I think you have to do both at the same time. I think you have to look at what we said earlier in this conversation is everything holistically with real estate development and affordable housing and transportation. It's all one thing.
Yeah.
And you cannot certainly continue to entitle what they've entitled with these multifamily units in inappropriate locations, and also keep these Bayshore and Bay to Bay completely open with small, teeny tiny sidewalks. It's a
Right.
recipe for death.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, it's a
Right.
clear safety issue.
Well, there again, what you've been saying here on the podcast, that we want what we used to have. When we had a streetcar, we would have streetcar nodes. So you have small clusters of commercial,
Right.
businesses.
Yeah, corner
And so-
store.
Corner stores. And so people could get their basic daily services by having a nice walk,
That's exactly right.
And so we do need that. We do need more pairing of land use so that people don't have to get in a car if they need to go 1 mile to a grocery store.
Exactly.
So I could not agree with you more, and
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that great minds are going to make these things happen, and that we also focus on that small-scale infill that can really be very powerful to add housing and in our existing walkable neighborhoods.
Let's talk about development. Before we went live, we were talking about development trends and how developers now are very keen on basically this whole conversation. They've actually recognized and foresee this demand.
Yeah.
And they're building infrastructure. They want to build infrastructure within their development that supports more connectivity with pedestrian use with
Yeah.
the development in the rest of the city, but also bike infrastructure.
Yeah.
The Whiting example is very exciting. Includes no on-site car parking
Right.
in the middle of downtown,
801 Whiting.
which, by the way, is
Shout
completely
out to
appropriate.
Craig. Yeah.
Shout out to Craig. What's the development company? I want to shout them out. Do you know the name of the? Craig is the developer, you said.
Yeah. Craig Brzezowski. And I know his email is Bend in Road, but I don't know if that's the name of his project. 801 Whiting. There
And
it
if you
is.
go top down, David, like this little triangle parcel right on the Selman. I mean,
Yeah.
what a perfect little project
Yeah.
for that. Totally
right on the Selman
underutilized.
Greenway. You can't see it there in the image because it's in the shade, which is nice.
Totally nice. And more to come, right? A lot of improvements to come
Right,
to the Selman
right.
Greenway, which is really
So
exciting.
Craig's doing a fabulous bike room there, and it's going to have storage for not only bicycles but scooters as well, electric scooters.
Wasn't this our first like viral social media video where I was like, this is what a real fucking city needs? And I'm talking about this project. When was that? That was like a couple years ago. I was just fired up. Like here we are in the middle of our urban core, right in the middle of downtown. And we have a project going up that does not include car parking. It's all about those people living there having the capability to walk for their errands. Do you know how much more affordable that would be for a young person who's ambitious, that's moving to a new city, that wants to get a good job and make it happen?
And healthy, too.
Or someone who, maybe someone that wants to live a more active urban lifestyle.
Sure.
They don't want to have a car.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a project that completely supports that idea.
Yeah, it's car optional living.
Car optional.
And there's like Zipcar, there's just like there's bike sharing and scooter sharing models, there's car sharing. You just walk 2 blocks and use an app. There's Airbnb for cars. There's a lot of ways that people can facilitate getting a car when they need a car, but not owning, storing, insuring, maintaining the vehicle. So it's a great, great model. And shout out to Craig.
Shout out to Craig.
And what developers can do to advance really, really great urbanism. And we're talking like we have a really rich pool that is evolving here in Tampa. So shout out Daryl Shaw, Omar Garcia, the people at SPP, Water Street, Craig. These are visionaries, and they're moving the needle. Developers should stop overbuilding car parking.
100%.
Because if we build for cars, I don't want to name names. I could, but the downtown partnership keeps track of what buildings are coming. They are a one-stop shop for all developers to plug into our city and understand what's happening and where. And so they share, the stats, like how much car parking is being built in each development. And we still have the trend in Tampa, even though the car parking requirements are becoming more flexible and actually reduced, developers are building more car parking than what is required by code. still more. So it's a mind shift. Meanwhile, in the rest of the country, a lot of our peer cities, they're just done away with car parking requirements altogether.
Altogether.
They let the private developer population figure out what is needed and what we can do. So, we need dynamic car parking. We need, like, if you're not going to use it in the daytime, then put it out there for events, at night and so on, like the commercial buildings. But, we want the developers to do great, like amazing bike parking. Water Street so far has some of the best bike parking, like at the Heron. Totally full at all times. We had a few pictures that we had up here of Union. I don't know if we showed those yet.
David sold his car. It's one of the first things he did.
Well done, David.
Because, and he was a little early in that particular location to make that decision. But I mean, you're still alive. The world didn't end because you sold one of your vehicles.
Yeah, and now...
Can people hear you, by the way, when you talk?
I don't know, but you might just have to repeat me. But, like, the occupancy at La Union is like 80%, and I have to go to, like, the 5th story to park my car now. It's insane.
So you sold both cars. You have one car. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So you're living car light. You have one car for a 2-driver family.
Exactly.
And that one car is a pain in the butt to park at La Union, like it is any apartment complex. It's not, particular to La Union. It's just dealing with that parking garage. How much easier is it to get around when you just walk out your front door?
Basically every day, that's what we do now.
Right.
I drive my car maybe once a week.
And you I think last podcast you did, you took the scooter, right? You took a Lime to the studio.
Yep.
Haven't you taken the streetcar to the studio too?
Streetcar, Lime, I've even walked a couple times.
I've got this. He's so brainwashed by me. It's
I
unbelievable.
think you guys just did a post, didn't you, about all your modal explorations, and
David, a
that
true
was
Tampa
fabulous.
urbanite.
Yeah.
He's biking the talk and walking the bike.
Yeah.
He's doing it all.
Yeah. So we do want the developers to, and shameless plug, do a click on pedalpowerpromoters.com and contact us, because we do design bike rooms and we give tours of great bike parking. Yeah, this was awesome. I love that you did that.
Spin commented. That's cool.
Yeah.
How many followers does Ride Spin have? They're pretty big, right? 22K? No. Are they local?
Yeah, Spin is one of the it's called Micromobility.
Follow them,
that
David,
share,
real quick.
And the Spin and Lime are providers in Tampa. And it's my understanding they're going to be expanding their fleets in the next, year. So we want our network to keep up with those vehicles being dispersed, and having a world-class program for our city.
So with Pedal Power Promoters, a developer can actually come to you and you'll do consulting and design.
That's right. We are the procurement source for the bike racks. We are what is known as an advocacy dealer. So when we help, say Craig as an example, 801 Whiting, we have helped him design his bike room for maximum storage. And we once those are installed, he's very amenable to let us show it off to other developers to show what great bike parking and scooter parking looks like. And then we will make a donation after the bike racks are procured through us. We don't raise our prices at all for that service, but then we make a donation to a like-minded organization like Walk Bike Tampa, Well Built Bikes from the Heart at Christ the King Church. So that's the way we fulfill some of our philanthropic goals in the community, is through selling bike racks and designing really great bike rooms.
Do you find that developers are reaching out to you, or is it you having to go into a new development and saying, hey, you really should think about this? Like the developer community, are you finding, are they very keen on this conversation we've had today?
It's coming along. Like it's in its evolution. Great developers, like Daryl Shaw, like Water Street, they really understand multimodalism, and so they want to make that investment.
Right.
And they're also seeing in parts of our community, we reached out to Daryl because we saw at the Riverfront Arena where the Tampa Bay Sun, Women's Soccer League. Yay, national champs.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Shout out, son. Congrats.
But we saw that there were a lot of bikes that were just chained to poles there at Blake for those. And so now we're brainstorming with them on what they can do to receive people on bikes and have, a better experience than just.
And where did that infrastructure go in?
It hasn't gone in yet, so we're just, we're going to do a site visit next week. So by the time this airs, it might have gone in.
Sure.
But there's a decent bike lane on North Boulevard there. I say decent because it's just painted, but people will pull into Blake High School, and our vision is that we provide some pop-up bike facilities. Not unlike the Amelie, but probably not bike valet to start.
Sure.
We want to just put in some really great bike parking so people know they're welcome and that it's a good way to come to the games. You have the West River Walk there on the other edge of the property, and this whole space is just fantastic. Shout out to David and Daryl for bringing this team here and making it a better place to spend time on our Riverwalk.
And if y'all haven't been, let me tell you something. These ladies who play this game, this is not basketball flopping. Like these chicks are badass as hell, running into each other, scoring goals. I was fortunate enough to go to the playoff before the championship.
Yeah. And
holy shit, I was like, dude, this is awesome.
So cool.
Like women's soccer, just to be frank, was not on my radar. Right?
Right.
I'm a busy guy. I got kids, whatever.
I think it's new to a lot of us.
It's new to a lot of us.
New to me.
It's new to the community, right?
And it is so
totally
exciting.
Didn't have an expectation, was excited to go because I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah.
And before we went, we also heard that the move, and this also goes into transportation, was to kind of get a little pregame beer at Armature and then take the water taxi across to the Sun game.
Yeah.
Right? The place was packed, like hundreds of people not wanting to. You don't want to get in a car and go park. You go to Armature, you get a drink, you get on the water taxi, you go across. It was an awesome experience.
A great
Highly
experience.
Recommend it. Very cool.
Really cool. They've done an amazing job, and it's only going to get better. And then when they have their permanent field, even more exciting.
Right?
So. But people do want to and can safely pedal there or use their other urban, one wheels and the scooters and all that. Some are privately owned, some are by Spin and Lime. And, so there's a lot of desire there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just need to make sure that they have a good landing spot when they get there, that they can lock up securely using a U-lock.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the things that we're really reliant on the developer community to understand and strive for. Right now we work a lot with our partners at Real Building Solutions, Taylor Ralph, and they help a lot of developers do really max out their LEED and well building certifications. And we have found through our partnership with them that what LEED requires in bike storage is falls far short of what the market is demanding now.
Wow, that kind of surprises me.
Yeah, well, it's here. People, in Water Street, in downtown St. Pete. St. Pete is rated. There are measurement systems for, just like with LEED certification in the Green Building Association, bronze, silver, platinum, or gold. I'm saying it in the wrong order, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So there's real measurement. And so in this world of bicycle friendliness, we rely on a national nonprofit called the League of American Bicyclists, and they rate businesses, universities, communities, and states on bicycle friendliness. And just to give you a sense of the difference, because people who experience downtown St. Pete and compare it to Tampa, so far, there's a lot on the books that is coming to Tampa, but St. Petersburg and Orlando now rate as silver bicycle-friendly communities, whereas Tampa is only a bronze. And so there's a way to measure that. And so I'm looking forward to the city resubmitting its assessment request through an application process, because I think we are ready to be awarded silver when we get a couple more things in the ground. And that's going to be very exciting.
That is exciting. And it has to do with that green spine. And what's the other large project? I think it's the green artery.
Yeah, the thing that's important to remember about Artery is that art is capitalized, A-R-T. And so this is a movement to have a wonderful loop through our city, around our city, that connects people to public places and public art.
Love it.
So that's the green artery, whereas the green spine is what it sounds like. It's a spine. And these things are on display when Walk Bike Tampa, especially the green spine, is used for World Car Free Day. That's a big day of programming in Tampa where we invite people to experience our community. We have curated and built 10 miles of car-free and car-light space that connects dozens of neighborhoods.
It's amazing.
All the way from
This is just in Tampa?
Just in Tampa. World Car Free Day is a day that happens all over the world on the same day, roughly the same day, and 2,000 cities participate.
Wow.
And this will be our third year in Tampa. And there's a children's bike ride that's part of it now, the Kiddical Mass.
When is it, and like
It's
what's the event?
September 20. Go to the walkbiketampa.org webpage and you'll see all the stuff there about World Car Free Day. But we have 10 miles of car-free and car-light space that connects 4 activation zones all the way from, on the west, we have Midtown. And then we have to the east and northeast will be the community gardens there. That's a fabulous space that is Tampa General Hospital is one of our partners. And so we have like neighborhood greenways and just really comfortable neighborhood streets where we're developing our route. And a lot of it is the green spine.
David, what are we doing? Should we bike from, we should start at like my house, like down near Ballast Point, and bike all the way up Bayshore to the studio and do an episode or something like that. We want to be a part of it. This is cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's giveaway and
definitely.
prizes, farmers markets. There's business sponsorships. This is all on walkbiketampa.org.
That's right.
You can find it on the website.
Yep.
Very, very cool.
Yep.
A lot of what this is, what we've talked about today, is education.
Yeah.
People in this country, I can say that because I grew up here, we are fearful. We don't get it. You mentioned it even because you said painted bike lanes. You said something about
Yeah, paint is not infrastructure.
paint is not infrastructure. And that is all we frankly had growing up.
Yeah.
And I was always told by my mom, like she would never let me bike on a Dale Mabry or something like that, you
Yeah,
know? And
sure.
and I think there's an education aspect where people have to learn we're not where we were in the 90s. We do have adequate infrastructure.
Yeah.
Here's how to use it appropriately. Here's the businesses you can get around to. And then here's where we're going and how exciting is it?
Yeah.
So that's why I like this, because if you can participate in this, you can better understand this stuff.
Yeah, you see our community at a whole new pace with a really great lens. You get to engage, and this is why I ride a bike every time I travel, because I really want to feel connected to the community. And so that's what's happening here with our fabulous partners. You can experience, biking from one place to another, and it is delightful.
And is Sidewalk Stompers sort of a cousin organization that's all about?
Our advocacy for little legs. Emily Hinsdale, we could not have a better partner. She is also on the board of Walk Bike Tampa, as am I. And I highly encourage having a discussion with her. She has grown the walk to school programs and bike to school programs in our community thousands of percentile. I mean, she's just really just hitting it out of the park and doing amazing work. And the schools want that.
Yeah.
We don't want these long queues of congestion surrounding our schools, impacting particles for little lungs. You just don't want that. And so she's a huge part of the solution and we partner with them all the time on really great stuff.
You've had the fortune of traveling a lot. I mean, you mentioned you've traveled to Europe, and you said you sort of came from Denver over here. What's your best example in America of a city that really has done things, maybe not perfect, but very damn well? A place where you go and you're like, wow, this is a good job.
Well, I will refer back to the national rating organization by the League of American Bicyclists. And there are, I think, 5 cities that are platinum bicycle friendly. One that I recently visited was Fort Collins, Colorado. And so what it feels like when you're there is that you can pop on any bike and you can find your way around the community without guesswork, without those harrowing intersections that you feel so threatened by. And you wouldn't have a problem. Your kids are little right now, but when they reach around 8 or 9 or 10 and they say, I'm going to ride 3 blocks to my best friend's house, you don't freak out. It can happen, and it should happen. And same with your elder parents or your grandparents. If they want to walk to get a cup of coffee, you should not be racked with fear that that's going to happen. So
Florida's in the top 10 of, what is this here, David? This is the League of American Bicycles top 10 what? Like bikeable cities?
I think
Or
that
states,
might
rather?
just be our
Okay, bicycle friendly state rating. Okay, click on Florida. I can't believe we're in the top 10. Number 8 bicycle friendly state.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense though. Like think of like the Courtney Campbell Trail.
the upcoming Howard Franklin.
I'm gonna
Very
call.
exciting.
I'm not calling. I'm gonna say Bayshore Trail now. I can't say Bayshore Boulevard or Bayshore Street.
That
Is
would be
Bayshore
great.
on there? Oh, Washington. Washington's number 1.
Yeah.
Wow.
Washington's
David's neck
number
of the
1.
woods. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that some of the most beautiful places in our country are in the top 10, right? It encourages people to get outside and bike.
That's
you
right.
know?
And to consider, the transportation benefits of using a bike.
That's another thing we didn't talk about today is we're so privileged really to live in such a beautiful place, right? We all live in Florida. I mean, we
Yeah.
got the beach and the palm trees and the weather.
It's flat.
So it's
for the
flat.
most part.
It's
and
easy
it's
to get
never
around.
going to have ice.
Wouldn't Florida be the best opportunity to implement everything we've talked about today?
I believe becoming a world-class city for bicycle commuters is within reach. And that's what I've been striving for because it is flat. At many parts of the year, I am in touch with colleagues all over the country and the world, and they're like, we're removing ice and snow. And it can be done. A lot of people,
Sure.
Edmonton, Canada, is a top bike commuter.
Isn't that the city where in the winter all the canals freeze and they skate to work?
Yeah. Yeah, but they bike too. I mean,
Right.
the Nordic people say there's no bad weather, there's just bad gear.
Oh.
And so, it's harder to cool down than it is to warm up,
Right.
with gear. But that's why we need all of our businesses, all of our developers, the commercial ones especially, to do end of trip facilities like showers and things like that. That really makes a difference. And a lot of buildings do provide that, but we want to educate the workforce there that those facilities exist. They're accessible, easy to use. There's a lot to be said for the good design of them. I've toured other cities and major employers, and you want to create an environment where people can enter the bike room without going through a garage and without going through the lobby of the building. You just want to be able to roll in there. You want to have towel service, uniform service, dry cleaning right there to the locker rooms, and where a person would go from a bike lockup room
Yep.
right into a change facility and freshen up before they are interacting with their colleagues, in an elevator, in a lobby. You want to, it doesn't, you don't want to like be sweaty and
Sure.
look unprofessional.
But on a base level, just simply be connected. We talked about the Whiting development, how they were unable to connect to the Selman Greenway because of
Right.
Tampa's code. It
Right.
didn't. It was actually
Not
illegal.
possible. Right.
Let's use the word illegal.
Okay.
It's against the code. It's illegal to build the bike infrastructure in that way. And that's a shame.
That's a
and that's
shame.
no one's fault. That's just sort of an antiquated code we have, which is
Yeah.
being worked on and
Right.
reevaluated, which is great.
Yeah.
Christine Acosta, thank you for coming on. It's 1:02. You said you
Okay.
had a hard stop at 1.
Yes, I am so grateful that you invited me on, Garrett, and the
course.
amazing work you, David Kimmel, are doing on the podcast. You're illuminating a lot of light bulbs for people, and it matters, and you're part of the positive change. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. David does all the work. I just sit here and talk. But you know, your work is real. You know, I've seen it. I've seen the new bike lanes going in, and I appreciate it. I am really glad also too. This conversation opened my eyes to how in tune you are with the dynamic nature of all this stuff. You know, oh, we're the #1 bike friendly community in the state, and we have this accolade and this platinum thing or whatever. But if the visceral connection, we talked about the button, we talked about the turn signal, we talked about that really, really interesting curb where you could push your bike onto a curb and it would trigger, you know, a safe passage. I think those little details are so greatly important. And I
Yeah.
love that you said that, because the last thing I want our community to do is just simply focus on, right, these accolades and these numbers and checking a box.
Right.
Like, what's the actual experience?
Right. What the proof will be in the mode shift.
Yes.
All right. And so we've got our eco counter there on the green spine, and we are constantly advocating for eco counters throughout the city. We'll get there. We're going, and
We'll
we
get
will
there.
get there.
With your help. All right.
Thank you.
Ride your bike. Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody.